On July 19th, 1977, the world teacher, the Christ Maitreya, head of the spiritual hierarchy, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the masters of the wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood.
Good morning and welcome to our World Teacher program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Presented by Teresa and David on behalf of Share International New Zealand.
Benjamin Creme has stated from the beginning of his work that when Maitreya declares himself before all the world, he will speak telepathically to every individual in his or her own language. This will repeat on a world scale the true happenings of Pentecost 2,000 years ago.
In the following article, Monte Leach introduces an American movie from 1950, which uncannily presages the events of the Day of Declaration. It begins.
It may not rank with Gone with the Wind and Casablanca as a time-honoured Hollywood classic, but the 1950 film The Next Voice You Hear provides a glimpse of what might have been and serves as a tantalizing hint of what is yet to come.
In the film, Joe and Mary Smith, an average American couple, live an average American existence in the Los Angeles of 1950. Joe, James Whitmore, frustrated in his airplane factory job and stressed by the day-to-day routine of his life, struggles to cope. He must also care for his pregnant wife Mary, Nancy Reagan-Davis, and their 9-year-old son Johnny.
One Tuesday evening at exactly 8:30 p.m, Joe hears a voice which interrupts the regularly scheduled radio program. "This is God. I will be with you for the next few days," the voice says.
Joe and Mary believe that the event must have been some kind of joke or hoax, even though Joe calls a friend who heard the same voice on a different radio program at the same time. Joe muses, wouldn't it be kind of funny if it really was God? It sure was a wonderful voice.
The next day, day 2, a newspaper headline reads, "Strange voice heard on radio, 3,000 telephone calls." The article continues, "The switchboards of this paper were swamped early last night with some 3,000 inquiries about a strange voice heard on the radio. The voice is purported to have said, 'This is God. I will be with you for the next few days.' Radio station officials are making a close investigation of the broadcasting of the voice, which engineers say came over their airwaves without any mechanical or electrical control as far as they can ascertain."
That evening, once again at exactly 8:30 p.m, Mary hears the voice on the radio. As she can best recollect, the voice said, "This is God speaking." A lot of people who don't believe will say that if this was really God, why doesn't he perform some miracles? Mary adds, the voice said he was going to think about that.
Mary admits she is a bit frightened by the broadcasts. Joe becomes angry because the events are upsetting their son, Johnny. A radio announcer says later that evening, "Reports have been coming in from all over the country. From all reports, the voice was heard at exactly the same time and on all stations, network and local. The voice was the same on all stations and the words were the same." The Federal Communications Commission spokesman stated that this was obviously a well-organised, well-planned hoax.
But Mary asked her husband, "You heard the voice last night, Joe? Did he sound like he was talking just to you, too?"
The following day, day 3, Johnny reads a newspaper article to his father about the phenomenon, and in so doing demonstrates the faith and open-mindedness of youth.
"Johnny, Incomplete reports from New York indicate that the same voice was heard in Great Britain, France and Belgium. As yet, no word has been received from behind the Iron Curtain. Say, Pop, when they're in France, how do they tell what the voice is saying?
Joe, well, I guess there's a lot of people over there who understand English.
Johnny, or maybe the voice was in French.
Joe, if that isn't the silliest thing. How could the voice be in French and English at the same time? In Dutch, Italian, and every place else they heard it.
Johnny, I just figured if he was God, he could do anything.
That evening, a still apprehensive Johnny accidentally breaks the radio before the 8:30 p.m. broadcast. Joe repairs it in time to catch an announcer's summary of the message.
This station cleared the air in order to record the voice. Oddly enough, the voice which you just heard did not record. Our recording apparatus has been checked. It's in perfect working order. For those who failed to get the entire message, however, this is a verbatim stenographic report of what the voice said.
I gather from all that I see that there is still a good deal of speculation and scepticism whether I am who I am. I also see many expressions of fear. Why should you be afraid? Why should children be afraid of their father? Are you afraid because you believe you have earned another 40 days and 40 nights of rain? Must I perform such miracles in order to make you believe?
To everyone's relief, the next morning, day 4, is bright and sunny. An answer is given to Johnny's previous question about God's ability to communicate to each person in their own language.
A radio announcer is heard to say, "Similar reports have been received from Cairo, Port-au-Prince and Singapore. A Canadian expedition at sea in the Antarctic Ocean reported static-free reception when the voice spoke. A plane en route from Algiers to Tunis with a French pilot and an American co-pilot reported that the Frenchman heard the voice in French and the American heard it in English at exactly the same time over their earphones."
The announcer continues, "I have a bulletin. The spokesman for the Federal Communications Commission stated this morning that all scientific attempts to explain the voice have failed. He said that, in his opinion, no explanation was possible other than it is the voice of God. There were statements of faith broadcast by the President of the United States.
No self-respecting Hollywood movie on God would be complete without a fundamentalist Christian to enliven the proceedings. In this case, the Bible-thumping, fear-mongering, fire and brimstone Aunt Ethel, who believes that we are all sinners and that God's broadcasts are a sign he's come to earth to punish us, she says with fervour.
The radio announcer is heard once again after the nightly broadcast. The voice again did not record, but will continue to repeat this latest message during all our programs.
Last night, when it rained, it was merely a reminder that I have performed my miracles. Each drop of rain that fell, each snowflake, each blade of grass, the sun, the moon, the air you breathe, the earth you walk upon, the water you drink, the trees, the plains, the hills, these are my miracles. But look now for the miracles that you can create, the miracles of understanding and peace and loving kindness. These are the miracles that are within all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are.
On the 5th day, Joe misses the voice's nightly 8:30 p.m. message. I have spoken to you these few days to ask you to count your blessings, to create for yourselves the miracle of kindness and goodness and peace. You are like children going to school. You have forgotten some of your lessons. I ask you to do your homework for tomorrow.
Joe has a revelation. We have no right to be afraid. Remember what the voice said last night. We should all do our homework for tomorrow. Well, let's take a look at the things God told us to take a look at. Let's just see how great his miracles really are. There's the moon, the stars. It's the air we breathe, the earth we walk on. It's the trees, it's the hills, it's all of it. It's things like loving each other, the way I love you and you love me. We've got nothing to worry about, nothing to be afraid of. Most of all, we must never be afraid of God, because God is the whole world.
Aunt Ethel reads the message that came over the air that evening at 8:30. I have noted many changes and they please me. You looked for miracles and you created them. You've done your homework. Enjoy then the miracles I have given you and the miracles you have given yourselves and each other. In all your many languages, keep alive and strong such simple words as love, faith, freedom and peace. I shall be watching.
On the 7th day, Monday, the Smith family gathers at a packed church to hear that evening's message. The radio announcer speaks. At 8:30, the broadcasting channels of the entire world will be cleared. This is the 7th night that the voice will have been heard. Houses of divine worship of every description and every faith are thronged. In every continent, in every land, in different times, but at the same moment, every place, men, women, and children of every race, nationality, station, and colour, alone and yet together, in reverence, devotion, and homage, men of every language ready to listen to the same voice, the voice of God. It is exactly 8:30. Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear.
The film's ending is filled with a sense of joy and optimism, expressing the hope that those alive today will bring God's lessons to future generations who may not have heard his voice on the radio. The viewers are left with these biblical words on the screen. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1.
The audience never actually hears the voice. What actor could do it justice in any case? The film leaves this to the imagination. All the better to prepare for the time in real life when we hear the voice ourselves.
You're listening to the World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. The following information is sourced from Benjamin Creme's book, Maitreya's Mission, Volume 2.
On the day of declaration, we will see Maitreya's face on the television screen. The Bible statement, "All eyes will see him," will be fulfilled in the only way in which it can be fulfilled.
We will see his face, but he will not speak. His thoughts, his ideas, his call to humanity for justice, sharing, right relationships and peace will take place silently, telepathically. Each of us will hear him inwardly in our own language. In this way, he will reenact on a worldwide scale the true happenings of Pentecost 2,000 years ago.
He will present a short history of the world, our journey from the extraordinary level from which we have come to the degradation to which we have fallen. He will urge us to change, inspire us with a view of the future, a future like none that has ever been presented to the world, the most wonderful, beautiful, and extraordinarily brilliant civilization that this earth has ever seen.
At the same time, the energy which he embodies, the Christ principle, the energy of love, will flow out in tremendous potency through the hearts of all humanity. He has said it will be as if I embrace the world. People will feel it even physically.
This will evoke an intuitive, heartfelt response to his message. Simultaneously, on the outer physical plane, there will be hundreds of thousands of miracle healings throughout the planet. In these three ways we will know that Maitreya is the Christ, the world teacher, come for all groups, religious and non-religious alike. An educator in the broadest sense, here to help us fulfill our destiny as gods in incarnation.
For the benefit of listeners new to this information, our final article explains the emergence of the world teacher Maitreya.
For a number of years, Share International has been a channel for information about Maitreya, the world teacher, the one expected by Christians as the Christ, and in other religions and cultures as the fifth Buddha, as the new incarnation of Krishna, as the Imam Mahdi, or as the Messiah.
The process of his emergence into full public life has now entered its final phase. This special information issue of Share International seeks to explain this event and to place it within its historical, cultural and philosophical context.
The appearance of a spiritual leader for the whole of humanity, not expected by most to take place yet, or perhaps anticipated in a different way, raises several questions for many, believers and non-believers alike. Both are unconsciously hindered in their response to this appearance by backgrounds which may prevent them from seeing Maitreya in his true function and identity.
This will perhaps make it especially difficult for devotees of the various religions to accept him as he is. They are often bound, to a greater or lesser extent, by the traditional framework of their faith, from which it is difficult to distance themselves. What these various religious traditions have in common is the expectation that their spiritual leader, or his successor, will intervene in the flow of history in a most extraordinary manner.
Unfortunately, a further common belief is that the members of their particular religion are chosen, and that the teacher will bring to them, and only them, paradise, either in this life or hereafter. The reality is different. It was their followers, not the Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Jesus, or Zoroaster, who threw up barriers between faiths and people.
The great spiritual leaders in all eras have always emphasized the one, undivided humanity. It was not these teachings, but their incorrect application, which led to religious wars, intolerance, inquisitions, and separatism.
The key to a better understanding of the work of the great spiritual teachers is that they have always worked together as members of a group known as the spiritual hierarchy. This hierarchy has always supported humanity on the long path of evolution, unnoticed for the most part, working behind the scenes, but occasionally openly when the time was ripe to reveal an important new teaching.
Time and time again, these public missions have thrown into confusion a humanity equipped with too little knowledge to fathom or correctly interpret the succeeding events. In particular, announcements by various teachers of a future return, and predictions couched in symbolic terms of the conditions which would surround such a happening, have led to much misunderstanding.
A good example of this is the difficulty that the Jews had in recognizing and accepting Jesus as the long-awaited Messiah, especially in relation to their firm conviction that he would assert himself as a strong political and military leader. Yet Jesus was the promised new leader, but in a way not understood by Jews or Christians.
A new revelation is not always given by a master of the wisdom in person. Use is frequently made of a disciple who has accepted the task of functioning as a vehicle for his master. Jesus was such an initiate disciple, who for the 3 years of his mission, from the baptism in Jordan onwards, was overshadowed by his master, who is also the master of all the masters, Maitreya the Christ.
Hence, Christianity has wrestled for centuries with the question of the dual nature of Jesus, now a master of the wisdom himself. The claim made by Christians that Jesus was the only Son of God is therefore incorrect. Everyone is a son or daughter of God, as Jesus said, but most of us are divine only in potential, and it is the masters and their most evolved disciples alone who may be called sons of God in the esoteric sense. People who have wrought the divine qualities in themselves to complete unfoldment.
The predictions of spiritual teachers in the past about their return were pointing, without exception, to the events now unfolding, as the world moves into a new era, not the end of time, but the end of an age, and the beginning of a new cycle. This is why Maitreya is now here.
This time he is not working through a disciple as an intermediary, but he has come himself from his ancient retreat, a valley high in the Himalayas. In July 1977 he took up residence in the Asian community in London, where he has subsequently worked, preparing for his appearance before the entire world and as teacher for all humanity, Christians and Jews, Buddhists and Taoists, Hindus and Muslims, and also, to the same degree, those who follow no religion.
Above all, the appearance of Maitreya must not be seen as an exclusive event for believers, to which non-believers cannot relate. The masters of the wisdom and their disciples are not a religious phenomenon. They have tried repeatedly to teach humanity the principles of justice and brotherhood, about the need for right human relations, and consequently a correct relationship between man and God. However, the churches have invariably laid emphasis on the mystical element, and at the same time have monopolized the notion of spirituality, claiming it exclusively for the religious field.
The religious path, however, is only one way. The artist, the politician, the scientist, the manual worker, everyone, believer or non-believer, can live a real spiritual life. The deciding factor here is whether or not they are working in the service of humanity.
Maitreya too gives the highest priority to service. He points to the inhumanity of a world which forces farmers in America and Europe to reduce production while every 2 seconds a child dies of hunger. A world in which poor countries groan under the burden of intolerable debts, while the industrialized countries spend hundreds of billions of dollars on weapons.
Maitreya will make it clear to us that we face a major decision. Either we change the way we relate to one another, taking sharing as our guiding principle, or we continue in our present selfish, competitive way and destroy ourselves.
We shall have to make our choice in complete freedom. Maitreya is a teacher, an advisor, a guide. It is up to us to decide whether or not to take his counsel to heart. But he has already said that our reaction can be predicted. We will choose to implement his teachings.
This means that we are at the beginning of a new time, a time of enlightenment, of extraordinary scientific achievement, and of right human relationships. A time of new understanding of that which we call God, and of Maitreya, the hierarchy, and mankind within his plan.
We'll finish with part of Maitreya's message number 88, as given through Benjamin Creme.
All proceeds to plan. All my hopes are being fulfilled, and the day of declaration draws near. Soon will you see me in full vision, and as you do, realize that for many this meeting is not the first. Many of you have served me before, long, long ago, and coming now into the world, stand ready once again. Know this, my friends, and seize the opportunity now offered to serve me and the world. Know this, my brothers, and take part in this plan of God for your fulfillment.
And that's our program for today. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the world teacher Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, please visit the website share-international.org.
To inquire about Share International magazine subscriptions, books by Benjamin Creme, or our monthly free of charge newsletter, the number is 04234 1133, or write to P.O. Box 9576 Wellington.
Thank you for listening to us on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. And please tune in to our next World Teacher program on Saturday the 25th of October at the usual time of 10 a.m.
You can listen again to this program and previous ones by visiting share-international-nz.info and click on the radio tab.